Most people don't realize they're emotionally dependent until they feel like they're losing someone. It doesn't feel like dependence at first. It feels like love, connection, or deep attachment. But underneath, something more fragile is quietly taking control. The psychology of emotional dependency explains why some connections feel impossible to walk away from, even when they're no longer healthy. By the end of this, you'll understand why dependency forms, what it does to your thinking and behavior, and how it can shape your relationships without you noticing. At its core, emotional dependency begins with a simple human need, the need to feel safe, valued, and emotionally anchored to someone else. This is not a flaw, it's part of how humans bond. But when that need becomes your primary source of stability, something shifts. Instead of choosing the connection, you begin relying on it. This is where the brain starts to adapt. When someone becomes your main source of emotional relief, your mind links them to comfort and security. Their attention feels calming, their absence feels unsettling. Over time, your emotional state becomes tied to their behavior. Have you ever noticed how your mood can change based on how someone responds to you? That's one of the earliest signs of emotional dependency forming. But here's where it becomes more complex. Emotional dependency is not always obvious. It doesn't always look like neediness. Sometimes it looks like overthinking, constant checking, or a strong fear of losing the connection. Other times, it appears as sacrificing your own needs to maintain closeness. The brain plays a powerful role in this process. When you receive attention, affection, or validation, your brain releases dopamine. This creates a sense of reward. But when that reward becomes inconsistent, when attention is unpredictable, the effect becomes even stronger. Uncertainty increases attachment. This is the same mechanism that makes certain habits hard to break. The unpredictability keeps you engaged, constantly seeking the next moment of reassurance. And without realizing it, you begin to depend on those moments to feel okay. Now consider this. Is it the person you're attached to or the feeling they give you? That distinction matters more than most people think, because emotional dependency often attaches you to the experience, not just the individual. You start chasing how they make you feel, rather than seeing the relationship clearly. This can blur boundaries and make it harder to recognize when something is no longer balanced. Another layer of dependency is the fear of loss. The brain tends to prioritize avoiding loss more than gaining something new. This means the idea of losing a person can feel more intense than the reality of staying in a situation that isn't fulfilling. So instead of asking, "Is this right for me?" the mind asks, "What will I lose if this ends?" That shift in thinking changes everything. It can lead to tolerating behavior you normally wouldn't accept. It can create patterns where you adjust yourself constantly to maintain connection. And over time, your sense of identity can start to shrink around the relationship. Here's a subtle but important insight. Emotional dependency doesn't always come from the present. It can be shaped by past experiences where consistency, reassurance, or emotional safety were uncertain. The brain learns to hold on tightly when it fears instability. So when you find someone who provides moments of connection, even if inconsistent, it feels significant, almost necessary. But dependency has a cost. When your emotional balance depends on someone else, you lose a sense of internal stability. Small changes in their behavior feel larger than they are. Delays in communication create anxiety. Distance feels like rejection, and the relationship starts to feel more intense than it actually is. Now, ask yourself this. If your sense of calm disappears when they do, is that connection supporting you or controlling you? That question can be uncomfortable, but it's also revealing, because healthy connection allows space. It doesn't require constant reassurance to feel secure. It doesn't depend on unpredictability to feel meaningful, and it doesn't make you feel like your emotional state is always at risk. Emotional dependency, on the other hand, creates a loop. The more you rely on someone, the more sensitive you become to their behavior. And the more sensitive you become, the more you rely on them to restore your balance. Breaking that loop doesn't mean removing emotion, it means redistributing it. It means learning to create stability within yourself, so connection becomes a choice, not a necessity. That shift changes how you experience relationships. You begin to notice the difference between needing someone and genuinely wanting them. You become less reactive and more aware, and you start to see people as they are, not just as sources of emotional relief. In the end, emotional dependency isn't about loving too much. It's about placing your emotional center outside of yourself. And once you see that clearly, something changes. You stop chasing reassurance. You start building it within. If this made you reflect on your own patterns or relationships, take a moment to sit with that awareness. And if you want to understand more about how your mind shapes the way you connect with others, you can stay connected for more insights.